Blog Talk Radio.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Women of Golf Show. I'm Ted Odorico, your co-host, and normally alongside with me, of course, is none other than Legends Tour player and LPGA professional Cindy Miller. And Cindy is on vacation, I guess, if you will, for the next couple of weeks, so she won't be joining us on this morning's show or next week, but she'll be returning in a couple of weeks. And we're certainly going to miss her on this morning's program. We've got a great show for you. Let me just tell you a little bit about the show for those of you tuning in live, and then I'll bring on our very special guest panelists. This is actually the second panel discussion that we're going to have on the show this year. And I'm very, very excited to have this group of ladies joining me this morning. But let me just tell you a little bit about the show, and then we'll get right into our discussion this morning. As I mentioned, this is the Women of Golf Show, and we air live every Tuesday mornings from 9 to 10 a.m. Eastern here on the blogtalkradio.com network from 9 to 10 a.m. Eastern. Best way to find us is go to blogtalkradio.com/Women of Golf, or just type in Women of Golf in the search key. And if for some reason, if you can't join us live, not to worry, just scroll down the page and you'll find the on-demand section. All of the shows, of course, are auto-recorded in their entirety, so you can check us out there when it's convenient for you to tune into the program. Another way, some other great ways to tune into the show as well is if you go to iTunes.com, Stitcher.com, and now TuneIn.com, and under the podcast section, just again type in Women of Golf, and that will take you on those respective social media platforms as well. So you can tune in lots of great ways. If you want to call in and speak to either myself or Cindy when she's with me, you can do so by calling area code 347-945-5855. Some other great ways to connect with Cindy and I is our respective emails. Cindy's is cindy@cindymillergolf.com, and mine, of course, is ted.golftalklive@gmail.com. And don't forget to join me on my premium show, Golf Talk Live, every Thursday evenings from 6 to 8 Central, or 7 to 9 for those of you on the East Coast. I've got a great Coach's Corner panel coming up this week, and my good friend Byron Casper is going to be joining me on the second half this coming Thursday, again from 6 to 8 Central, or 7 to 9 Eastern Standard Time for those of you out on the East Coast. So be sure to tune in to that show as well come Thursday evening. So as I said, I got a great show for you this morning. I'm batching it as you will. I've got three lovely ladies on air with me, and I'm going to do a quick introduction, and then we'll get into our discussion for the next hour. This young lady has been on the show a number of times, and a very good friend of mine. Her name is Pat Roque, and of Roque Your Golf, and she's an award-winning marketer, keynote speaker, and transformation coach. Pat knows how to make business boom on and off the golf course. She teaches golf marketers and business professionals how to attract and engage their ideal clients. She's a master connector and teaches systems to transform your life and grow your business now. She drives social media and executive women's leadership programs for major golf sponsors, including KPMG, Konica Minolta, and the ShopRite LPGA Classic and the PGA Tour. Pat has served on the boards of the WGANJ and the NJ Association of Women Business Owners, Healthcare Business Women's Association, and the North New Jersey International Special Events Society. She has extensive experience monitoring and marketing to women in their role as golfer, executive, mom, family concierge, and health wellness decision maker. She's a mother of 2 college kids and plays golf all year round with her husband Alex, and is now living in the laptop lifestyle, working part-time from her condo in the Golf Mecca, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Also joining her this morning is Ann Beltz. Ann joined Valley National Bank in 2002 and serves as one of their vice presidents, territory manager, sales manager in New Jersey. She brings over 22 years of banking experience to her role at Valley. As territory sales manager, she is responsible for growing the bank's market share by offering a wide array of convenient lending, deposit, cash management, wealth management, and treasury services to businesses and consumers. Marianne has a long history of deepening existing relationships and developing new business through focused prospecting and networking with local community organizations and centers of influence. She has a bachelor's degree in marketing, and she is a tireless advocate for women, supporting various education and empowerment programs throughout the northern New Jersey community. She supports the bank's corporate citizenship philosophy by volunteering much of her time to the Livingston Area Chamber of Commerce, Go Red for Women, Dress for Success, Berkeley Heights Cub Scouts, and the Kiwanis Club of Livingston, Community Access Unlimited, CPNJ, Schools of Livingston, and especially proud of her work with the WGANJ, which is, of course, the Women's Golf Association of New Jersey. Both Pat and Ann deliver record-setting growth and big ideas as their social media and marketing lead for the Women's Golf Association of New Jersey, now the largest women's northern New Jersey golf league with over 650 members. Together they have grown sponsorships and corporate partnerships 10 times in the past 4 years, demonstrating the value of collaboration to empower women as leaders on and off the golf course. And rounding out our panel, of course, is Holly DeSantis, one of the premier sponsors of golf, and she's a senior finance executive from Conica Minolta, who herself just learned to play in the past few years thanks to the WGANJ Association. She's now an active sponsor, helping more of her friends and colleagues also get into the game. And as I mentioned, Conica Minolta is, as you may know, a sponsor of the PGA Tour, and now they're helping to implement grassroots support for women's leadership and golf at the local community levels as well. So, ladies, good morning and welcome to the Women of Golf Show.
Good morning, and thank you for having us.
Thank you, Ted.
Well, it's my pleasure. I'll tell you, you're welcome. That was a lot to get out. It's a good thing I can talk. Lots of great accolades, lady. Thank you. So, Pat, I'm going to start with you just to sort of get into the conversation. And I think it would be interesting for each of you maybe just to briefly talk a little bit about why and how you got into golf. So, Pat, I'm going to start with you, and then Mary Beth, and then Holly, we'll finish up with you on this one, okay?
No problem. I am the wife and executive who was perpetually left behind for 20-something years. So my husband played golf forever. He used to come down to Myrtle Beach on a golf trip that started with 10 and ended up 40 guys every year. And I was left home either working or with my children, taking out the dog, etc. Had a ski accident, realized I couldn't keep up with that vice any longer and needed something new at age 45. So while I was on crutches and a full leg brace, I was working with WebMD, and my manager was laughing because I was having a cranky moment and frustrated because I couldn't get something done with a potential partner. And she said, well, you're going to go play golf. And I looked at her and thought, you're crazy. No, I'm not. Can you not see the crutches or the brace or both? And long story short, she was a woman manager who made me realize that I needed to use golf as a connecting tool to get some quality time with my ideal prospective client who I couldn't get 10 minutes with or 10 seconds with for a year, a whole year. And literally through volunteering in a charity outing for Healthcare Businesswomen's Association, I joined her committee. I ended up, I was not only not the golfer, I was the finger for the gift wrapping for the Tricky Tray baskets. How about how non-golf is that?
Wow.
But long story short, spent 10 hours of quality time with my ideal prospect and ended up falling in love with the game. So now at age 45, I found something new. I'm not an athlete. I can barely walk and chew gum at the same time, and it has changed my life forever. And now my goal is to help other people stop getting left behind and do the same.
Fantastic. You know, what's interesting is, and I just want to point out for the listeners tuning in this morning, that, you know, these women have taken up a game, you know, not as children. You know, many of us, myself included, who, you know, started playing golf at a very, very early age. My father introduced me to the game. And, of course, now I'm a golf professional, so I'm well entrenched in that. So all of you, of course, are business professionals and certainly for the most part have taken up golf much later in your life. And so, Mary Beth, I want to start with you as well. Talk just a little bit about, you obviously didn't play as a youngster, I'm assuming, and have taken it up a little bit later in life. Explain why and how you got involved in golf.
Well, I started 18 years ago. I was working for a very large bank in New Jersey. I think it technically was based out of Boston at the time, and they wanted us to take our clients out. And I'm like, how am I supposed to take my clients out golfing if I don't know how? So I was actually 7 months pregnant with my son. I got a golf pro. I started taking lessons. It was interesting around the belly, but I always hit straight, and that gave me a lot more confidence, so I wasn't slicing it one way or the other. I learned. I took clients out. It was a ball. And over the years, the last 4 years, I got really hooked on it, and I'm always on the golf course. And I take clients out. I take friends out. It's enjoyable. It helps me build relationships to conquer other things in life.
Right. Well said. And, Mary Ann, I think as a business professional, I think you would agree that it obviously opens up a lot of doors that traditionally may not have been opened by getting access to a lot of other professionals in an environment. We're going to talk a little bit about that in more detail, but I think you'll understand once we get into that part of the discussion just how important golf has been to the business community at large, and more importantly, how it's becoming more prevalent now in the women's business market. Holly, what about you? How did you get drawn to the game, and what have you found since you've been taking up golf?
Sure. I've only been golfing for about 3 years now. I think this is my 4th year going on. And my children are on their way out. I'm going to be an empty nester soon, very soon. And I got to a point where, they weren't outside playing sports anymore. And I found myself wanting to get out, in the springtime where I was usually going to a softball game, and now I had nothing to do. So, one of my friends here at work was a part of WGANG, the Women's Golf Association, and she was walking out one night, and she had her clubs with her, and I said, hey, wait a minute, I think I'd like to try that. And, Konica Minolta is a big sponsor of golf all over the country. So, kind of made sense, and I have to say that I joined 3 years ago. I love it. I love the diversity of the people there. I also am not athletic at all. But again, same with Mary Ann. I can hit straight, and I've had the opportunity to play with a couple of the gentlemen here, and they like me because I hit short, but I hit straight, and sometimes it saves them out of some embarrassment. But it's been great. I do enjoy the diversity of the group there, Ange. Right,
and I want to ask. This is really sort of a perfect segue into the next aspect, and that is the ability to network and not only grow from a business standpoint, but also develop some lifelong relationships. So actually take a deep breath, Holly, because I'm going to start with you this time, and then we're going to work back the other way.
Okay.
As a senior vice president of you're welcome. As a senior vice president of Konica Minolta, of course, you understand the importance of building relationships. I mean, that's really the premium, if you will, in any sort of a sales environment. It's about relationship building, and out through relationships, of course, you develop lifelong partnerships and business deals. So talk about how golf has opened that door for you. And again, I know that you're fairly new to the game, but it's obviously opened some doors and created some opportunities that maybe you might not have had before. Talk a little bit about that, and then Mary Ann, we'll go to you next.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I've been with the company for over 20 years, and so this is all new to me, and it's definitely opened some doors as far as getting involved more on our sponsorship side, where I've been able to be involved in certain of the outings and kind of recognized differently by some of the men, upper management in the company. All of a sudden they're like, oh, wait, you golf? You can come with us too. And it's been really rewarding in that way. And then on our outside, I'm in finance, so I'm not really on the sales side, but I do have some relationships with American Express and some of the other vendors where, they have a big presence at golf outings too, and I was just invited to the U.S. Open under the, the Amex tent, and it's been very rewarding that way too, because once somebody finds out that you golf, they're kind of, inviting you to golf outings or inviting you to play or inviting you to socialize with people that you wouldn't normally socialize with, and I find it very rewarding in that way.
Right, and it creates an opportunity as well. Let me just throw this in there because, and I think you can all probably relate on some level. One of the biggest criticisms I think that a lot of women have had in the past is, when either their company or there's been some sort of a corporate event, that they've kind of had to sit on the sidelines because they weren't maybe involved in golf as a player, or the company maybe didn't realize they played golf, and a lot of times they would get involved in. Certainly, they went to the outings in some cases. Some cases they didn't, but a lot of times they were sort of left to maybe tend the desk over here or right. Help give out the prizes, and they weren't really involved, so they didn't feel part of the event as much as they would like to. So, Marianne, as somebody that's involved with a large banking organization, how did you find, now that door has been opened, how it's helped you to be able to develop and network a little bit more?
Well, networking helps a lot because obviously you hear banker, people run. There's a lot of networking events I go to, and if I go in first talking about banks, they walk away. If I talk about golf, they stop and listen and get to know me because banking is all relationship. Golf helps me build that relationship easier and a lot more confidence they have in me. Going on a golf outing, there's many, many times I'm the only woman out there golfing, which is kind of weird, but it also puts the spotlight on me because I am the only woman out there at certain events. Many events, I'm the only woman out there. And with the Women's Golf Association of New Jersey, I'm helping to bring more women to these events. So I'm not the only one out there. But I do like having the spotlight on me as well. But
I was going to say, isn't that fun?
Right.
It is fun.
I know.
Right. Well, and I guess really the point that I'm trying to make is that, we understand as professionals in whatever field we may be in, the importance of networking and getting to know our customers. And there is no other way, in my opinion, that allows you as much time as out on a golf course to be able to do that. I mean, and ladies, I think you would all agree, on a 20-minute sales call, you don't really get to know your customer that well. You've got to ask certain questions. You've got to pry a little bit just to get certain information out of them. And you don't really get to understand who that person is. Yet on a golf course where you maybe have between 4 to 5 hours, it gives you a lot of alone time to talk about other things, not just business, and not even just golf, but just other things, the relationship things. And Pat, you can talk a little bit about that, what it's done to you to be able to help network with other men and women out in the golf course that you maybe weren't able to do as successfully off of the golf course.
Ted, it blows my mind every time I think about all the little stories. Getting involved with Women's Golf Association, and then I met a woman named Sharon who said, "Oh, my company needs a speaker. Why don't you come? The last one was boring. You'd be great." And I got introduced to Konica, and then happened to work for them once, got called back again, became friends with Holly who came in. It's just this growing like an avalanche in the best possible way of building relationships. Another woman that's part of the group from KPMG said to me, "Oh, there's a networking event at our Short Hills office, which is about a half an hour away. They're going to need golf. They want to get involved in women's leadership, diversity, and inclusion in golf. Why don't you go to the event?" Well, the woman I was supposed to meet was not there, but because of my, I'll say blessing, my golf relationship, you kind of fast track the friendship route when people know you through that kind of relationship. It's interesting. So I walked in the door, and within one night's networking in a room full of pretty much strangers, I got invited to be a speaker at Baltusrol, if you know what Baltusrol is, where the U.S. Open has been.
Right.
So for the industry itself, for the Women's Healthcare Business Women's Association. And I also ended up picking up a global pharmaceutical client who we met that night, called in, put a master service agreement, and launched a global program and got paid in less than 4 months' time, all because of a golf relationship that someone opened a door, invited me into a private access spot, and because we were able to have those kinds of conversations, you just fast track. People tend to, if they like you, they have to like you, obviously, but the trust factor and the bonding and the relationship building, and it's not a salesy conversation. That's the most important part. It's really about understanding what does success look like, how would you feel when you get there, and what's going on in your organization, whether it's your company or your industry group or your trade association or your team, what's going on there and how can we help you. And so the world is starting to really embrace diversity and inclusion conversations and women's leadership. The time is now to kind of step forward with all of that. And Konica has a program called Step Forward that leveraged all these leadership points. KPMG did the same. It's just become this really tremendous momentum. But the friendships and the networking from having that quality time on and off the golf course. And again, even off the golf course, Marianne and I are on the board together for Waganja, and we do the marketing and corporate sponsorship. So we get to play together. We get to do fundraising. We help support scholarship programs for college, junior golfers, whether it be little girls or college girls. So we're helping improve charities. We helped with Gianna Rojas with Adaptive Golfers, the one-handed lady golfer. We're doing a fundraiser for her coming up. So we're spending time together, helping make the world a better place, meeting wonderful people, and having lots of fun and laughs doing it. So the fact that, again, I'm not the athlete by any stretch of the imagination, but who would have thought at age in my 40s or 50s I could have so many doors open? That was probably the most important part, the networking and the open doors and the new kinds of friendships, because like Holly said, people do look at you differently when they know that you play golf. I don't know what it is, but they do.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. And I think that, men have known this for a long, long time. This is why so many executives play golf. I mean, some certainly, are lucky if they can hit the ball straight 100 yards and, struggle getting around 18 holes. But they understand the power of networking and using it as a business tool, and have learned to obviously laugh at themselves a little bit at time. And you have to be able to do that, especially at an amateur level, because you're not, unless you, of course, go out and get entrenched in some lessons and things like that to improve your game. You've got to be willing to just look back and have some fun with it. But I like the fact that it has opened so many doors for so many business professionals, especially women, who might not have had those opportunities otherwise, or certainly would have had to work that much harder to open some doors. And I want to talk about, Marianne, if you wouldn't mind, maybe a couple of areas. And dressing for success as an example, maybe you could talk a little bit, maybe give some tips for some of the women that might be tuning into the show this morning about how to sort of prepare going from your corporate office out to the golf course.
Well, I always have a bag in my car ready to go. Basically, I'm in a suit all day, and then when I take clients out or even prospects out, I'm ready to go off on a drop of a moment's notice. If I have an opportunity, I just dress and go, turn the cell phones off, and concentrate on that one person I'm trying to get to know and build relationships with.
Right, exactly. And also, too, Marianne, there's a lot of great women's lines that are available now. They're very turnkey. And what I mean by that, we've had a number of them on the show here over the years, where you can actually wear a lot of the outfits both on and off the golf course in a professional setting, and it can be something as simply as slipping a jacket over top, and now you're ready for the boardroom, taking that jacket off, and wearing what's underneath, you can actually transition to the golf course. So there's the women's market is just really exploding in that area. There are so many fantastic, women professionals in the clothing aspect that are just really addressing both of those areas. And I'm sure you're probably aware of some of them, but that's a great thing as well. Holly, I want to ask you a question as well, as a business professional and as somebody who is, again, very recently adapted to golf. What do you try to do when you go to the golf course, even if it's not in a corporate event or it's not in a professional golf setting, and you've invited a group of whether it be clients or maybe even just some friends, what do you try to do as far as, I want to say work the room, but what opportunities does it open up for you on the golf course, getting to know the people that you're playing with?
Yeah, I've met a lot of great people, and like what I said before is I really love the diversity of the people that I've met. I golf with 30-year-olds and I've golfed with 60 and 70-year-olds, so it's really it brings everybody together. But I have I talk about golf all the time at work, and I really do try to identify the women here that are either playing already or are interested in golf, and try to get them out on the course. I had one husband thank me and say, "Oh, thank you for getting my wife out golfing. I've been trying to get her out for years, and now we have something else that we can enjoy together." But the people that that I usually bring, a lot of them are from work and some are from friends. Really introduce them to the great people that I've met, like Pat and Marianne. Whenever I'm there, the people that I bring, I like to introduce to around, because you never know. Some people either are looking for a job or have a job opportunity that they're looking for to fill. But I think it's been rewarding for the people that I've encountered, and I've gotten people to join Waganj, and they're pretty excited the way I am, that they really love golf, and either their relationship with their husband's great, better, or they've met somebody through golf, some of the networking that we have there, or that's stemmed into something else that either some sort of fundraiser or some sort of women's event that they've gone to and expanded their networking.
What do you say, Holly, to some of your fellow female business professionals who maybe have not made that transition to golf yet, don't understand, hey, I just don't get it, chasing this little white ball around the golf course, I just don't get it. What do you say to those people?
Well, I do say to probably everybody that I talk to that are with my friend group, and it's expanding all the time now with Waganj, but just come and play. It's absolutely beautiful out. It's great people. It's a lot of fun. It's really, I would say, very relaxing, very fun. Not intimidating. The women, I don't know many people or anybody that I've ever played with that was, competitive or felt, that they weren't worthy. Everybody kind of comes out and has a good time, and the people that I've got to join, our relationships have definitely gotten better, and they're having a good time as well. So it's just a good time.
Right, exactly. And I think it also it doesn't just open up doors, obviously, from a sales perspective, but obviously the relationship. And I think a lot of people that have never played, one of the things that I always say to them is and I know it's kind of an old adage, but don't knock it until you try it. I think a lot of people don't realize that golf, believe it or not, can be a great stress reliever. And I'll point out very quickly, and then, Pat, I want to ask you a couple of questions, is, even though it can be difficult and challenging, it also mimics life. And if you think about this from this perspective, when you go through life, there's various challenges that you're faced with, various hurdles that you might have to overcome, and you have to develop the skills and the wherewithal to be able to overcome those challenges. Well, the same thing happens on the golf course. So what better training ground for life than out in a golf course when you're navigating bunkers and water hazards and things like that. And in your mind, you can just imagine that these are different life challenges that you have to overcome. So by focusing on your golf game and developing the skills to be able to handle yourself out in the golf course, you're actually preparing yourself to handle your own personal stature, if you will, off the golf course in life. And a lot of people don't realize, but that's what draws so many people to golf, is there are so many parallels to how you play golf to how you handle life. And I think it's a great life lesson that can be learned. Pat, I want to talk to you very quickly, if you can, about not only golf course networking etiquette, but sort of the do's and the don'ts, and maybe you can give us an example of what you're talking about there.
Absolutely. I'll give you a great example. I had a woman attorney who got invited to play golf, and she knew enough to know that, yes, she should just say yes, and then figure out that there were some nuances that she wasn't going to be aware of. So the first part of golf etiquette is realizing that it's kind of got its own language, whether it be the jargon of it and how things work. So it's not literally common sense. What's common sense to a business executive might not translate exactly on the golf course. So she called me and said, can you take me and teach me the do's and don'ts of etiquette so that when I go there, I know I don't feel like an idiot. I don't want to be embarrassed. I want confidence. So those kind of questions are the common parts of why you should learn etiquette, because you don't have to play well, but if you understand some of the basic rules of the road, you can keep yourself feeling confident and comfortable in any environment, regardless of your skill set. So we even teach how to pull in, what a bag drop looks like, how to dress so that you are appropriate. And like Marianne said, your skirt or skirt is a certain length. You should be wearing a collar, those kinds of things. We teach how to call a pro shop or how to invite a client. So there's things you should ask about restrooms. What are the rules? Do you change your sneakers into your golf shoes in the parking lot, or do you carry them in? Is there a private locker facility? Golf resorts have different rules about where you're allowed to wear what kinds of shoes even. I wouldn't have known that otherwise, but I learned that the hard way. About conversation, leaving your cell phone off, about even things like where you're allowed to stand or where you're allowed to speak. Now, you're a golf teaching professional, Ted, so this is common sense to you, but I remember my husband teaching me about not stepping on someone's line, which I thought meant between you and the hole, right? That made sense. I understood that. So I was standing behind him talking to my girlfriend, and he looked at me, and he's like, first of all, please don't talk, and second of all, you're in my line. And I said, no, I'm not. I'm behind you. He said, no, your line is your visual line, and it extends in front of you and in back of you. Now, I have a master's degree. I'm not a stupid person normally, but those were not common sense things to me. I thought I was being appropriate. My intention was to be appropriate. I thought I was being appropriate, but obviously it's just I didn't know any better. So I built Rock Your Golf literally to teach people how and why to get involved, how to dress, how to pack for a golf business trip, the language of it, the layout of the course, and what some of those terms are so they start to sound more familiar. The things you need to know to be able to find a place to play. How do you look for a place to play? Well, playing golf is not just on the golf course. It could be having a putter in your family room. It could be going to the driving range with friends after work. Holly and I play in an indoor league year-round. We have a simulator indoor league because we're in New Jersey. It's a lot of snow. So on Monday nights during the winter, we have, I don't know, how 30-something, 28, 30 people, let's say, getting together on Monday nights throughout the winter. BYOB, we bring snacks, we bring food, we have fun, and then we all go out to dinner after. So you're not stuck inside. But so the etiquette even extends to how do you manage yourself on an indoor facility. So you're not walking across golf holes. So how do you rotate through? How should you be set up? The fact that 30 minutes early is on time in golf. Late is not late. Late is showing up less than 30 minutes before you're supposed to start. That's not common sense.
Right.
It's golf common sense.
Right, and that's a great point to bring up, because there are a lot of anybody that's new to the game, but particularly for women, because it hasn't been, other than at the professional level, it hasn't been something that's been in their wheelhouse for many, many decades. And there are a lot of women who are just new to the game, and there are really two areas that women fear the most. Obviously, first and foremost, out in the golf course, they don't want to look foolish, and they don't want to be embarrassed about their play or lack of play, but they don't want to show up to the golf course and have a bunch of eyes staring at them because they don't know what they're doing, or they're not sure of the rules or the etiquette. And ultimately it goes back to they don't want to feel embarrassed or that they've done something wrong. So I think it's good, in addition to, taking some lessons and learning how to play the game on the physical side of it, it's also good to get some knowledge and understand. So anything that you can read about golf and learn about the etiquette, to get yourself a rule book as well to understand the rules. You don't have to know them verbatim, because I guarantee you most professionals don't know all the rules from start to finish. But it is important that you understand the general rules of the game, how it's played, and so on and so forth, just so that when you do show up to the golf course, you're ready to play and you have a general understanding of what's expected of you. And as you pointed out earlier, call ahead, not just to make the tee time, but ask those in the pro shop about some of the conditions at the course, what's acceptable dress. Things are changing. Before it was always a collared shirt. Some of the courses are becoming a little bit more relaxed now. So it's always good to understand what the dress code might be. And also how early they expect you to show up, as you pointed out, Pat, as well. Pat, I want to also get you very quickly to touch on about using social media as well. This is another way that women can help to grow their network along with getting involved in golf.
Absolutely. Well, you and I met through Linked Golfers, Sean Kelly's group on LinkedIn, and we've made lots of friends with folks in and around, not just, people, professionals, teaching pros, but folks in and around the golf industry, whether they are in the resort area or they're just enjoying golf and loving golf. So, 50,000 people around the world chiming in and having conversations. They tend to ask me a lot of the questions about the women inclusion in golf piece of it, or from the business person's perspective, because they know that I'm not a golf LPGA pro. That's what a Cindy Miller's for. Cindy's the expert on all things around implementation, but I can, like Tom Sawyer with a paintbrush, Pat Roque with a golf club, and so we use things like
right.
Facebook. I just got a condo in Myrtle Beach, and I don't know anybody here for the most part. So I went into the Myrtle Beach golf group and started asking questions, even things like, I need to get my oil changed and my tires rotated. Where should I go? I'm going to have one of the golf people tell me, right? So it might sound silly,
right.
but we become each other's resource. So whether it be, Women's Golf Association, we taught a lot of the ladies how to use Facebook, because many of them were not on social media, some of the older women, and now they are on Facebook. They're posting pictures. We're getting more engagement. We are finding a lot of the charities are coming out of the woodwork, and we can support their efforts. We make donations, generous donations, membership and swag. I give them free coaching session. I actually let them raffle off a $2,400 free webinar package as well. So it's a great prize for a charity who's looking to raise money for their thing. So we use social media to attract local charities who are looking for support and to promote their events, as well as any or all golf opportunities, or even learning scholarships for college-bound senior high school girls. I mean, so it's not always just about the logistics of golf itself. It's about, as Holly said and Marianne said, using social media as yet another way to grow our community, to build a network, to find like-minded people. So golf is your now first connector, and then you start to realize people's values. If you cheat on the golf course, you probably take shortcuts in other areas of your life. If you can keep a smile
right.
and laugh at yourself, no matter how silly and ugly the last shot is, knowing that you have one more You always get a chance to reinvent yourself. Well, those are the kinds of people you want to lean on in times of tough family situations or making big life decisions, or we have a lot of sandwich generation. People are juggling their aging parents and their kids and their family. It's a lot of work besides the work we do. And golf social media has become a source of where's their meetup opportunities, where are their events? Is it a friends and family at our sponsors' golf shop, or is it a trivia night? I mean, we sell out trivia night even. 125 women will show up. So social media has become a great way, exactly, to not just educate. I mean, I use it for education purposes and run programs and courses, of course, but it's a great way to stay connected, to have other opportunities, and just become really involved in the communities where we work and live and play golf.
Wow, fantastic. I got to make a quick side note here about New Jersey. New Jersey, as far as participation in my shows, I get the highest return ratings, if you will, from the New Jersey area than any other market in the United States. So it's obviously a very big marketing group and golfing group up in New Jersey, despite only having and if you think about that, when you look at other markets, and the reason I wanted to point that out is, of course, I live in Florida, and of course we've got California and Arizona and some other what you would think would be big golfing markets, and Myrtle Beach, of course, which certainly are. But for some reason, I don't know what it is up in New Jersey, but we've got some diehard golfers up there because I get a phenomenal turnout of listeners from the New Jersey area, higher and quite a bit higher than any other area. Of course, I get listeners from all over the world with this format, but higher than any other demographic in the United States, and it comes from New Jersey. So I got to give some credit, I'm sure, to you, Pat, as well, for doing such a phenomenal job, and Holly and Mary Ann for just doing some great work and getting the base, if you will, fired up. Which reminds me, Pat, maybe you can touch a little bit about this as well, as the New Jersey golf expansion. Talk about that, some of the things that you guys have done, and what a great story. The Women's Golf Association of New Jersey, you've now got 650-plus members. And just a few short years ago, you had less than half of that. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's crazy growth. We have fun. I'm telling you, it's fun, and we're not afraid to shout that from the rooftop. You don't have to be a good golfer, but if you want to have fun, come. And that message resonates with a lot of people who, like myself and Holly and Marianne, would have been maybe intimidated otherwise. But we've got social media. We've got probably 30-something leagues all over. We've expanded down into Monmouth County, which is down at the Jersey Shore. So we've literally just kept growing and growing. We're very open to embracing, partnering and working with corporations, with other associations. Marianne is just the bionic marketer. She's so funny, but, the Hispanic women lawyers. I do work with the professional women in construction. Topgolf reached New Jersey. I went to the governor a couple of years ago when we launched the Global Women's Golf Day with all the ladies down at the PGA show a couple of years back. Mm-hmm. I was part of that. But I went to the governor of New Jersey and said, hey, why do we have to wait a year? Do it for a day. And we declared June as Women's Golf Month in the state of New Jersey because we have the LPGA ShopRite Classic, and we have the USGA headquarters in our state, and we have all kinds of, now it's the Northern Trust, what was the Barclays, the first part of the FedEx Cup is in New Jersey. We just had the U.S. Women's Open at Trump Bedminster. So we're very involved in golf, even though we only get warm weather a few times, not as long as most other places. We've got a rich heritage, and we've got a lot of big-hearted, big-mouth people who are willing to, be the voice box. Well, good things happen all over the world, but if you don't make people aware of them, they just go silently. And we aren't afraid to tell people this is what's going on, and we welcome you with open arms. You don't have to be a good athlete. You don't have to have a lot of time, but if you're looking for a way to reinvent yourself or find something you never thought you could have fun doing, give us a shot, come on out, have fun, and we have a lot of ways to embrace people to come on board and spend an hour with us And an hour with us will change your life forever. And we tell people that all the time. But even as I watch Holly, all of a sudden Holly's got this one and that. Holly's got a whole tribe. It's so funny. Isn't it true? It's really true. It's really this Pied Piper kind of thing, and it's growing. So the folks at the New Jersey State Golf Association are phenomenal. We just went down. I was at the rules change for next year, so there'll be some more golfer-friendly rules in play, like keeping the stick in the hole when you're putting, things like that. But right now we tell people, Charlie Reimer in the Golf Channel, I'm sure you know this, Ted, put out the relaxed rules of golf. So we'll go out and we'll share that with our folks and say, look, we're not expecting you to be good. You don't even have to keep score. You probably won't keep score for years, but here's a good way to keep pace of play even as you're a beginner. And once they realize that it's okay, that they're welcomed on their terms at their level, that changes everything for people. So that's why I think New Jersey's hot in the market. You've got, Brian Dobby from Montclair Country Club. They hosted us for an event. They let the ladies come up. We're kind of a virtual golf club. So we provide the gin handicap for our members and things like that, but we are not in a physical building. So we go to 30 different golf courses, public and private. We give people exposure. What's country club living like? So you can perhaps go in and do events or play at different locations. We are part of the New Jersey State Member Days where you can go. You do need to have a lower, a 30 handicap, but you can play at magnificent private courses for very, very reasonable money. There's at least a dozen days you can go out and play all these fabulous private clubs. So we're giving people attempted thought of what's available, and we're giving them access, and we're giving them the means. We even loan people clubs. We try to make money be not an object. Golf can be expensive, but through the generosity of, Hanukkah and our other sponsors, we keep the costs for participation as low as we can. We subsidize so that, a $140 outing might cost you $80. Or $90. So we keep things as reasonable as we can so that money is not a prohibitive factor. That's no excuse not to play. And that's how the people in New Jersey roll. That's what we're doing.
Yeah, and you do it well. Talk about, Pat, if you wouldn't mind, some of the new programs that you're working on.
Oh, boy. Well, the speaking and expanding the leadership and diversity, I actually took my company and had us certified by the Society for Human Resource Managers, so that, which is called SHRM. The acronym is SHRM. Mm-hmm. And so people in the HR industry are required to have professional development credits, as a CPA would, et cetera, et cetera. But part of their learning is about shattering the glass ceiling, communication, client and internal engagement skills, things like that. So I've gotten my company certified, so I'm now invited all over the world to teach courses, and HR people are loving it because it's not just the benefits and hiring and firing practices kinds of learning that they need to do. I bring a diversity and inclusion. I always say there's no grass ceiling on a golf course. So that opened up a whole world of speaking and coaching and training opportunities. I'm going to be speaking at Baltusrol for the HBA Healthcare Businesswoman. Created an online program called Rock Your Golf, which means helping people learn how to get involved in the game. And we'll be having weekly guest experts, men and women, to talk about golf and business and life. So it's not just about the logistics of golf, but it's about the networking and the growing relationships and those kinds of things. So that's rockyourgolf.com. And there'll be a new program coming up. I'll send you the link for that, Ted. So there's lots of good things happening. We have charity events coming up all over the place. Waganja's website is WGANJ.com. It's our acronym, WGANJ.com. And it's really about helping people open up their eyes, find themselves with some new opportunities to experience something different, to get involved with their charity, their community, get more involved in their companies, and become kind of the Pied Piper in their organization.
Yeah, and well said. And this is really, I think, the crux of it. And Holly and Marianne, I think you would agree with this. Is, as business professionals, and I want you to each maybe take a moment or two if you can. And Holly, I'll start with you this time. To really, for those women that are maybe tuning into the show that are maybe in a similar position to yourselves, maybe not necessarily the same level, but similar positions that have sort of been sitting on the fence. They don't understand, obviously they don't understand about golf in general, but they don't really see or understand the opportunities that it can create. Talk a little bit, if you wouldn't mind, Holly, about the opportunities for business women, not necessarily professionals, but maybe business owners, what it can do for them in a general sense by getting involved in golf, even if they don't play.
Okay. Well, first I have to say, I agree with Pat on that, don't be intimidated. The people out there, the women out there, they're really great. And when we do that simulator or any other outing where there's somebody that knows more than you do, they help you and they teach you, and you get free counseling on golf. It's definitely so don't worry about that or even cost prohibitive, because for women it's actually not as expensive as men. We do golf pros we get the golf pros at a premise, and they have a group of women, and it's really reasonable because you're not getting a private lesson, but you're getting a group of say 8 or 9 women. But I would definitely, say it does open doors. It does become, another topic of conversation. I personally am not a sports enthusiast, so I know nothing about sports, and I do nothing with sports, but that happens to be a big topic sometimes in meetings with men, and I can't chime in until they start talking about golf, and then I start chiming in. So that's kind of opened some conversation for me. I definitely would say to anyone thinking about joining, get out there. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's relaxed. It's good people, and it's not really cost prohibitive. And outside it's good for you, and then inside internally at your work environment, it opens up a lot of doors and relationships with people, because now you have something else that you in common with men and women within the company, and it's definitely fostered some relationships there as well.
Excellent point. And Marianne, obviously, somebody that works for again a large bank in your area, you get the opportunity to work with a lot of business people, and particularly with a lot of women who are entrepreneurs and have started their own business or in the process of starting their own business. What do you try to say to them with respect to golf and how it can benefit them? And again, even if they don't maybe at this time choose to play or get engaged in playing golf, but just some of the different events surrounded in golf, how it can benefit them being involved maybe as a sponsor. Talk about a little bit about that, some of the conversations that you might have with some of your clients.
Well, first thing with women, our colleagues are out there golfing. So we got to convince the women you don't have to sit at your desk to develop relationships. It's easier to do it out in the golf course. So that's the one thing. Their time management at the office. They're afraid to leave the office. So once I get them on the golf course, it opens their world up to so many other different things. There's other ways to get your work done besides behind the desk. So that's the first challenge I have with a lot of women's golfers. Once they're out there, or just, they see a whole different world of networking. So it's easier then to get the sponsorships, to bring it into,
Right.
Pat?
And I think that for a lot of women, I think one of the benefits that they can see by, again, even if they choose not to play at this point, maybe they're not confident yet to get out there and take up the game, but maybe their business can be involved in one of the smaller local events, whether it be as a sponsor or even as volunteers, getting out there and networking and working. So it can open up so many doors. And Pat, you've seen this yourself, working with a lot of, especially women who are newer to the business community. Maybe they've worked for another company for years and they've taken that leap of faith and decided that, I'm going to join or I'm going to start my own business and I want to get out there, and they don't know where to start. Golf is a great place to start, correct?
It is by far a great place to start. I don't know what it is, but there's something about people, that are willing to take the time, as Marianne just alluded to. That's a conscious decision, and it's an important one, because trying to grow a business is not just, as she said, about sitting behind a desk. It's about mapping out a game plan about how do you put your best self forward and who really deserves to work with you. What are your gifts and who are you looking to share them with? So I do a lot with folks who live, love, and work in and around the golf industry, because they tend to invest time in themselves and be willing to take chances and are willing to reinvent themselves. So it's a mindset. So when you're looking at how would you grow business, well, what better way, as they said before, where do you get to spend quality time and get to know people as people? If you were, again, selling insurance, or if you were the local restaurant, or if you were in the Chamber of Commerce, all those places, there's some really smart people who are out getting involved in the chamber golf outings and making relationships and using golf as an excuse to have quality time out of the office without all those ears listening, and having some wonderful conversations, some laughs. They call the 19th hole, is where you have your cocktails after. If anybody doesn't know that, you'll learn that term pretty quickly. But it's putting yourself in that kind of environment. Golf tends to attract a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of executives, a lot of decision makers who appreciate building relationships. So it is a game changer and a door opener. And that's why the three of us took time out of our workday to be here to help you spread that message.
Yeah, and you've done a fantastic job. Well, I hate to say it, ladies, but that was probably one of the fastest hours I think that I've done. You guys did a fantastic job, and I want to commend you for taking time away from your busy schedule. I know it's not always easy to be able to do that, so I appreciate that. And I think that, we're certainly not going to invent the wheel here, and this wasn't really the purpose of the show today, and it was really to sort of open the eyes of women out there who, again, maybe sitting on the fence, that maybe don't know where to start. Here's three women who certainly did not grow up in the game of golf, didn't start at a very early age, and have taken it up much later in life, but as you can hear through the passion of their voice and their discussion, that it's something that they have grappled onto with both hands and are very excited about sharing that with many of you out there. So, Pat and Marianne and Holly, I want to thank you very much for joining me this morning and talking about women in golf on Women of Golf. And I appreciate you sharing your thoughts and input, and I hope that you will continue your efforts up in the New Jersey area with the many different organizations, particularly the Women's Golf Association of New Jersey. You guys have done a phenomenal job in expanding that network. And I thank you for all the many listeners from New Jersey that have been tuning into my show, and I know it's because of all the hard work that you ladies are doing up there, so thank you. So Pat, Marianne, and Holly, have a great day, and thank you for joining me this morning on the Women of Golf.
Thank you.
Have a great day. God bless you, Ted.
Thank you.
All right. You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. That was my very special guest this morning, Pat Roque from Roque Golf, Ann Beltz, VP of the Valley National Bank, and Holly DeSantis, Senior Vice President, Financial Planning and Analysis and Reporting from Kana Minolta Business Solutions USA, Inc. Thank you again, ladies, for joining me this morning on the Women of Golf. And as I mentioned, Cindy, has been away this week and will be away next week. Next week I'll have some more great guests on the show, and I believe we're going to be having the winner of one of the Symetra Tour events. In fact, I think it might be the IOA Championship, She wasn't able to make it the previous week due to a scheduling conflict, so I think she's going to be able to join us next week on one of the segments. So I hope you'll tune in for that. And Cindy, we missed you this morning, but we know you're out doing some great things, as always, to continue to grow this game. And I want to take this opportunity to thank all of the many listeners from around the world for faithfully tuning in each and every week to the Women of Golf. We truly enjoy bringing this network to you, and we'll hope you continue to tune in. Don't forget to go to blogtalkradio.com/Women of Golf, or go to iTunes.com, Stitcher.com, or TuneIn.com, and again, type in Women of Golf, and you can listen to the show there as well in its entirety when it's convenient for you. So on behalf of Cindy Miller and I, even though she's not here today, my name is Ted Odorico, and I want to thank you for tuning into the Women of Golf. God bless everybody, and have a great week.